Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I wanted to talk about recovery from long runs such as marathons and ultra marathons. After my race this weekend, I ran the Hachi 50K, and I had run the Brazos Bend 50K 2 weeks prior. So I got several questions about how I could recover and do two 50Ks so closely together. So I just thought I would talk about it some. First of all, there are things about race day you can do. There's things you can do to prepare. And then I will talk about some of the recovery strategies that help out. First, I will say that these were not my peak efforts. I was not really going for great times. I think you can really only do a few peak efforts at marathon or ultra marathon 2, 3. Maybe some people can do 4 or 5 peak type efforts in a year. But these I did more as, well, I'm still kind of recovering from my heart attack I had 7 months ago. So I haven't really been doing any hard training. So these were definitely not to run PRs or best times. They were more just to complete them. And that makes it a lot easier to recover between them also. But some of the factors you have from race day is how hard you actually run. The harder you run, for relative to your condition, to your conditioning, is definitely going to impact how quickly you can recover. The distance you run, the longer you run, the more time it takes to recover. For instance, if I had been doing a 50-miler or a 100-miler, for me, I couldn't recover within 2 weeks and do another race, both physically and psychologically. After I run something longer than 50K, I find it harder mentally to be ready to run again, especially hard. I can go out for some short, easy runs fairly quickly, but I can't really get myself to push for long distance or hard for a while. The terrain you run on makes a big difference. For instance, running on dirt trails, you're going to recover faster normally than the impact that comes from running on hard pavement. So the recovery will be faster. And in this case, the first race was on dirt trail, so I think that definitely aided in the recovery. Also, the terrain, as far as whether it's up and down, if you're going to do a hilly race, you need to train on hilly terrain. If you don't, your muscles are going to be a lot more sore from the ups and downs, and it's going to be more difficult to recover. Also, if you're going to run a trail race, you need to do some trails, or the ankles and your little muscles that are stabilizing you on the uneven terrain will become very sore. The weather makes a big difference. Hotter weather makes it harder to recover, mostly because you're stressed more. It's harder on your body. It also is harder to stay well hydrated. Both these races were a bit warm for this time of year. In Texas, we get a lot of 90, 100-degree days in the summer, but these being around 75 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit was very difficult just because we hadn't had a lot of that weather these days. But it was still easier than if it was the 90 to 100-degree days. Those would be harder to recover from and get through. A big factor that I have found is, do you take walk breaks during, or do things to, also if you run hills, if you have hills, you have some change in terrain that causes your muscles and your tendons and you're hitting things a little bit differently. It causes you to use different muscles, and that actually will reduce the repetitive stress that can happen during a ultra marathon. So having some hills helps with that. Again, like I said, a lot of hills, you have to be really trained for it, and it is hard to recover from a lot of real hilly race. In my case, these were both fairly flat races. The second race did have a little bit of rolling hills, which actually helped, I think, break up the monotony and the repetitive stress, which was a good thing since I was on the road. But I think that helps. If you don't have hills, again, the walk breaks are great because they break up that repetitive stress. You're able to hit the muscles a little bit different during your walk breaks. The second race in particular, in this one, I even though it was pavement, it was fast, it was pretty easy you could have run the whole time. I found, well, both for my conditioning not being the greatest, and I wanted to be able to recover fairly well and get through it. I was running a mile and then walking a minute. And then once I got to 25 miles, I ran for 4 minutes and then walked for a minute until the finish. And that broke it up. It also let my different muscles work a little bit. And I find walk breaks really cut down on your recovery time a lot. Things that I emphasize after the race for recovery. You want to, for the next several days, try to make sure you get as much sleep as you can. Sleep and rest is really important all the time, but particularly for the first probably couple weeks after an ultramarathon, getting in regular sleep to let your body repair itself and recover are really important. I would also say you want to hydrate well. If you can keep yourself hydrated during the race to where you don't get cramps or get dehydrated, it's a real benefit. Of course, you don't want to drink to the point of hyponatremia where you've overdrank, but very few of us do that. The risk of that is very minimal, especially unless you drink gallons and gallons the day before, and it's really hard to do it during the race. But you want to hydrate well, take in some electrolytes so the fluid doesn't just flush out of you, and you don't want your electrolytes to get too low either. So you want to hydrate well after the race as well to replenish your hydration. You want to eat well. Now, I would never say to anyone, don't have a celebratory meal or even a couple. If you've been training real hard, you want to splurge on some ice cream or a burger or something like, go ahead and do that. But you want to get back to eating fairly healthy because your body needs the nutrition in order to help itself recover. Now, one of the things that I do is get out and walk as soon as you can after the race. I real often, even on the day of the race, I'll go out and walk a half mile or a mile later that day because I think it just starts flushing the inflammation and the crud out of your legs. I find it really helpful. And then I walk the next couple days, 2 to 3 days. I usually am a little sore and tired, especially the first day, and I maybe a little less so the next day. And I'll try to get in, maybe a mile and a half on the first day after the race, 2 to 3 miles, sometimes more on the following day. And usually for me, about the third day, I start feeling like I can try running again. Sometimes I don't. I listen to my body. If I'm just really sore and tired and don't want to, I'll just keep walking even another day or two. But usually I'm ready for a little bit of a run. Now I make sure that I'm going to keep the effort light. I'm going to take it very easy and slow. I'll check my heart rate to make sure I'm keeping it easy and slow and that things aren't boosting up. And actually, probably for the first even 2 weeks, I am doing nothing but easy running. I take it very easy. So again, my real thing is from the first day, keep moving. You don't want to sit around and let all the inflammation pool up. You want to flush things out and you want to move. So I always move some those first couple days, whether I feel like it or not. Ease back into your running over the next 2 weeks. As far as mental fatigue, if you don't feel like running or you don't feel like running hard for 2 or 3 weeks, listen to your body. I mean, if you don't feel like it, you probably shouldn't. That's a good rule of thumb, I would say. Some things that can help with recovery. In the past, I have found that going and taking a really cold or ice bath the day of the race or the day following the race will help. After that, you can start taking warm baths or showers. That'll help with the circulation, but you don't want to do that right away because you're going to have some inflammation in your body, and you want that to. That's when the ice or the cold will really help. I find that compression sleeves are useful after a race, particularly if I'm going to be traveling, because the compression against, I use calf sleeves and the compression if I'm taking a long drive home or I'm traveling on an airplane. Compression sleeves help keep the blood and the inflammation from pooling up down in your lower legs. So I find those very useful. I have a lot of friends that use the compression boots, like the ones made from Normatec, and they say great things about those. I have not actually tried any yet, but I do suspect those would probably be very helpful. Massage is great. It's now very easy. You can buy inexpensive massage guns like the ones made by Theragun or an off-brand one. I have an off-brand one myself. I'm not real experienced in using those because I just got it probably about a year ago, my first one. I've used it after a few races, and I do find it's really good for hitting tender or sore spots. If you're going to pay for a regular professional massage, which I've also done some, I don't have the money to go do multiple ones. And I have found that if I wait several days or even a week before I go, that's good because the inflammation will have reduced and it's not too painful at that point to hopefully have them do some deep work that becomes more beneficial. If you do it right after the race, it's too sore to allow them to dig deep and really help break up any adhesions or whatever in your muscles. So I find waiting a little bit if you're gonna have a real massage done. But in the meantime, you can still do lighter massage with like one of the massage guns from what I've seen. Things that helped me do my 250Ks real recently is again, I ran fairly slow for me. I kept the pace pretty slow. My heart rate was low. I walked a lot. There was a little bit of up and down variation, especially in the second race, which helped. I definitely emphasized sleep in the 2 weeks between the two races. I did do the walking of 2 to 3 days. I did a couple days walking after that first 50K, and I really only ran easy in between them. I did have one 12-mile run on trails in between the two, but for the most part, my running was all easy. I made sure I hydrated well. So that's how I was really able to run the two long races. Both of them, neither one were very hilly. They were pretty easy. I did run them too hard and I walked, so that helped a lot to be able to recover and do 250Ks that close together. I'll also say that the more races and time you have spent running and you've run ultra marathons, I think it becomes a little easier to stack races a little closer together. I think your body becomes more accustomed to recovering and coming back. I remember my first marathons, I would finish one and I wasn't going to be ready to run another long run for months. And I would feel super sore and tired for a few weeks before I would even feel like running at all. Now just you become more accustomed. I'm usually ready to run on the third day or the fourth day after. I just keep it easy, and I just think your body becomes more accustomed to it and it becomes easier over time. Anyway, those are my thoughts on recovery. I hope you found something interesting and of use. If you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the like button. If you're interested in more of my content, please consider subscribing to the channel. And other than that, I hope you're having a great week of training and keep moving.